me, Julian Greystoke. I'm wearing my I Super Believe in You Tad Cooper shirt because I super believe in you, Tad Cooper. We're here for a tag video that I just discovered, and I was super excited because I was like, I want to do some sort of end of year writing related tag, and then lo and behold, one appeared. This tag is the next 10 years in writing and publishing tag, or decade 20 writers tag. The name is long. It's by Camille, I'm sorry, who according to this also goes by Mama Bear. She made this tag. It's a look back on the past decade and a look ahead to the next decade, and boy, I feel old. Looking back on the last decade, I'm like, I have been an adult for that entire last decade, and it's kind of horrifying how long I've been a whole-ass adult. Anyway, let's forget about that, and let's just do this really fun tag, which I'm reading off of my phone again, because, say it with me, I'm lazy. Alright, there are a lot of questions, so let's get into it. Question 1. What are your writing highlights from the past decade? I suppose I have a few. I did do a few things. I wrote a lot of things. I've been writing. I wrote short stories. I wrote full novels. I wrote novellas. I'm always drafting. I guess I should say first drafts of all of these things. I'm always drafting. And I did get my Puss in Boots retelling called Boots to a place where I was comfortable querying it and sending it out to agents, and this whole year and this past year I have been doing that, and like the year before I was doing that a little bit. So most of this decade was spent finishing Boots and getting it edited and getting it ready to go and to be queried, which is exciting because I've never done that before, so that is a big step. But otherwise, there's mostly been a lot of writing getting done. I have a Wattpad now where you can read some of my writing. Question 2, where are you currently in the writing process, and what projects are you starting the new decade working on? So, some of you may know I just finished the first draft of a novella, which is sort of a fantasy romance thing. I've never written romance before, so I'm calling it romance for people who don't like romance, but we'll see if that sticks, because honestly, I don't know what it is. It's a romance, kinda, and also there's war in it, so it's a little all over the place, but I'm probably going to be trying to self-publish that one once I finish editing it, because I want to have something out there, something more out there other than the novella I self-published many years ago, and I kind of am a little ashamed to have people read. Also, I'm still querying Boots. I am almost finished editing The Game again, at which time I will probably go through it one more time, hopefully faster than I have been, to just make sure that it does kind of flow together and all of the scenes that I chopped out do not leave like gaping holes and all this stuff. And then I will be querying that as well, and that is an adult sci-fi. So I'm gonna be a busy bee this next decade, and hopefully I would love to see myself published in this next decade, other than self-published, but we'll find out. Question 3, how have your writing goals changed over the last 10 years? I don't know if they've changed all that much. I think, you know, when I was starting the process with Boots, and maybe at the beginning of the decade, I was still leaning more towards self-publishing, and now I'm leaning towards being a hybrid, honestly, because I am too impatient to completely go with traditional. I would love to be traditionally published, but I'm also very impatient and I have too many books, and there are some that I know I probably just can't sell traditionally, so I'm probably gonna put them out self-published. So I don't think I really was as strongly wanting to be a hybrid as I am now, but otherwise I think my goals are pretty much the same. Get published, trick people into reading my books, profit. Question 4, what is your 10-year plan? Where do you hope to be in 2030? Bold of you to assume I have a plan. I do not, nor have I ever had, a plan. I have hopes, I have aspirations, I have things that I'm trying for. There is no plan. Question 5, what will the history books say about writing and publishing books from the 2020s? Well, if the history books care. I don't know, I've kind of answered this question before, where I think publishing is going. I think hybrid authors are going to start cropping up more and more, as it is I feel it's becoming harder and harder to become traditionally published. Maybe that's just me, and I'm imagining it because it's very hard to do, and I'm just like, well, it must be getting harder. Question 6, what genre will rule the 20s? That is a great question. I keep hearing that vampire fiction is coming back, so maybe that'll make a comeback. It would be really interesting if superhero fiction made a comeback. It's due. It's been on the blacklist for a long time. It has been a dead genre for quite a while. At least in the traditional scene, it is still existing in the self-published scene, but it's not really a big thing, so it'd be interesting to see if that comes back. Fantasy will always be big. I would like to see more young adult sci-fi be big, but I don't know if it will. I honestly don't really have a prediction. I just rattled off some things. Question 7, how will the publishing plus writing community change? Well, I already talked about how I thought there would be more hybrid authors out there. The writing community, I like the way that at least AuthorTube is leaning in that we are getting more honest. I think the trend for a long time was for people to never say what they struggled with, to never say what they were bad at, because nobody is perfect at writing. 0 people, even very famous authors, have things that they're not good at doing. And I think for a long time there was the trend that you're never supposed to admit that. You're supposed to just be, especially if you're published, you're all-knowing, you are professional, you are best at writing, and there's nothing that you could ever struggle with or learn and grow into. And now I think we are getting into a trend where authors are allowed to admit, hey, I kind of am not that great at world building. I'd like to get better at it. Maybe I'm getting better at it, but I'm not that good at it. And you're allowed to say what your struggles are, and I really like that. Question 8, what genres and tropes are making a comeback? Well, like I said, I think vampire fiction is supposedly coming back, and I think maybe mermaids are coming back. I don't know. I read a lot of fantasy. I don't know what else is coming. Thrillers seem to be doing okay. Question 9, something new to try. I challenge myself to, I'd love to write a mystery someday. I'm bad at twists, so I would like to write a mystery and really figure that out. That would involve plotting probably, at least a little bit more than I normally do, so I don't know if that's going to happen. Dreams, goals, aspirations, never stop. As a writer, I try to never stop trying new things, even if it's a small new thing. I don't want to get stagnant. Question 10, a bad habit that I'll kick. This is allowed to be a non-writing habit, but I don't really do New Year's resolutions. A bad habit that I'll kick, I would love to kick the habit of putting off editing so much because I hate editing a lot. Question 11 is favorite books from the 2010s. I'm just going to think of some off the top of my head. These aren't books that were necessarily published in the 2010s, these are just books that I read in the 2010s. The Hate U Give, I think I read The Great Alone in the 2010s. The one that's about escaping a cult, I don't remember what that one was called. It's got a really long title, but it'll be on the screen. Okay, question 12. Shout out to some author friends who will make it big in the next 10 years. Savvy is gonna make it big. Her channel is like so dedicated and she's so good at, like, her thumbnails and everything and her titles and everything are so clickbaity without being clickbaity. Does that make sense? I think she's really got it. And she's got the personality for it, and she's got the determination for it, and she's set up to do it. I think she can make it big in the self-published scene, in the small business scene. I also think that Alexa Dunn, who I follow and really appreciate, she is traditionally published, and I think she's really going to make it big. Like, she was kind of a mid-list author, but I think she just wrote a thriller, and it got picked up by, like, one of the big names, so I think she's really going to go places. And I'm excited to see where she goes. I'm sure there are more. I'll mention anyone else I would love to shout out who I think is going to go far. I'll mention them in the doobly-doo if I think of more. Future me. This sounds like a problem for future me. 13. Writing advice that will die. So I didn't exactly answer this question the first time. I realized as I'm editing it that I just kind of went off on a ramble again about how, like, the way we give advice is going to change, and I didn't really have a piece of advice that is going to die. And while you all don't need to see the ramble, I do agree with my point, is that I don't know if there's any advice that's going to die, but I do think the way we give advice is going to die or needs to die. The standard, I am the god of writing, I know everything about writing, so you should definitely take my advice, is going to go away, and we're going to see a lot more people saying, you know, take what I say with a grain of salt. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Because I do think that most advice at least has some truth to it, but I think we are definitely going to see the way we give advice changing. Question 14. In a perfect world, what would you like to see happen in the 20s? I'm going to assume this is also writing related, because of course in a perfect world there are a lot of things I can mention I would like to see happen in the 20s, but we're going to keep it writing related. In my perfect world, Boots is published, it's popular, people like it, I get a book deal for more books so that, you know, the game can also be published, and whatever else I write next can also be published. And basically, I want people to read my books. And I don't even care if I'm like super famous or it's super lucrative. I would love to be able to cut back to working part-time and write the rest of the time. Like, that's my dream. It's very simple. I just don't want to be working full-time anymore. I want to have more time for my writing. And question 15, new decade resolutions. I don't do resolutions. I don't believe that they work. I think that you should always be trying to grow and improve yourself, and just putting it on like a date, like I'm going to start improving myself on this date, doesn't work, at least for me. Maybe it works for other people, but I think you should just start when you start. Always be trying to improve yourself. Do I have any goals for this channel? That's not really one of the questions, but I thought I would throw that on here. Future goals for this channel. Of course, I'd love to grow this channel. I would like to make it better. Again, I don't have a lot of free time, but I would love to come up with more series ideas for video series that I could do that people will like, besides read-alongs, and I really want to get more engagement, because while I do have over 1,000 subscribers, about 100 of them actually watch any given video. So I would love to figure out a way to get that engagement up, where people were actually watching. Because if I had 1,000 people actually watching each of my videos, I would be the happiest camper that ever camped. Anyway, guys, that was this video. Is there anything you would like to see from my channel or my writing? If there's anything you would like to see me challenge myself with, I'm not saying I'll do it. I'm just saying I'll take it under advisement. If there are videos that you want to see on this channel, for sure there is a tier on my Patreon where you can boss me around. So, you know. I post new videos here Mondays and Fridays. All the links to my social media are in the doobly-doo if you liked what you saw here and you want to see more. My channel is chock full of content, so go check all of it out. Check out what I've been up to for this last decade. I haven't been on YouTube for a decade, but I've been here for a while. Been here for a hot minute. Don't forget that you can check out my Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month you can get access to exclusive content not seen here on the regular channel. The sun is already setting because it is the solstice today, shortest day of the year. I am not okay, but they'll start getting longer soon, so there's hope for me yet. Anyway, guys, I will see you again next time with whatever it is I happen to be doing next time. Bye! What time is it? It's time to shout out my amazing patrons of the month. This month we have Lennox, Amanda, Baruch, Irene, Jenny, Kim, Lisa, Sabby Panda, Sarah, Savvy, and Scribbling Cat. You guys are the very best. I don't know what I would do without your support. It's so encouraging to me that you guys are continuing to support me on Patreon. You guys rock.